Hello, welcome back to Rev Endurance Sports. Another edition of Weekend Wrap. So over the weekend, Lori, who you've seen on his channel before, and Barbara and I, by the way, not a plug for 7-Eleven, we rode our bikes from what I call from the sea to the desert on Saturday, and then on Sunday from the desert to the sea. Basically, we all live very, very close to the Pacific Ocean, the Pacific Coast Highway, that kind of stuff, that very scenic Southern California thing. And so my idea was, actually, it was Lori's idea, because in Borrego Springs, there was, over the weekend, the 6, 12, and 24-hour time trial. And you know, being a time trial, there's no drafting, and it's just you on whatever contraption you choose to ride. So recumbent, tandem, solo bike, but no drafting, and you go around in laps until it's 5 p.m. Friday night until 5 p.m. of Sunday. I'm sorry, 5 p.m. Friday night to 5 p.m. Saturday. So we rode out Saturday morning, and our plan was to get there, visit some folks at the start-finish line, and then we were staying at a gentleman by the name of Tim Skipper, who Lori has done 2 crossings of this country on his Ram teams, once as a 4-person team, and just in June on an 8-person team. So he offered a couple of bedrooms to us and a place to stay in Borrego Springs. So what we did is we packed a very, very light bag and sent it forward with Tim. In my case, I've become a huge, huge fan of the Pearl Izumi Levitate Chamois bibs. They are my go-to bib now for all my weekend riding, to the point where I make sure I wear everything else during the week, and always make sure I save my Pearl Izumi Levitate Chamois bibs for the weekend. So in this case, I was wearing a pair, and then I sent a pair forward to Borrego Springs. And really all I used was a cinch bag. So I had a bib, a jersey, I sent some chamois cream ahead just in case, a toothbrush, and a pair of shoes, and then a change of clothes. And all of that fit in a cinch bag. And if you don't know what a cinch bag is, let me see if I can find one real quick. You know, so just something like this, right? So just something really small, because we did not want to have a burden on Tim to carry our gear forward. So, you know, multiple bags, not to mention, you know, he's there to race. So he's not our Sherpa to take our stuff, you know, all over. So very small bag. That's all I sent forward. On Saturday, we rode out. I'll try to do a shorter video with some of the data, but it was like 95 miles or something like that, with a little over 7,000 feet of climbing. And when you look at the graph, it's up and up and up and up and up for 40, 50 miles. And then we drop down. And once you drop down into the desert, well, it's the desert. So it's either always hot, always cold, and always windy. So whenever anyone complains that they did a desert event and, oh God, it was so windy. Yeah, you're in the desert. There's no buildings. There's nothing to slow the wind down. And generally in the desert, you get these dirt devils, you get these little wind storms, and you get all kinds of stuff. Some are localized and some just blow through in a massive gust. So But for the time trial, these folks had some really good weather. Apparently it was cold on the overnight, Friday night, but it's the desert. So it's going to be, you have to expect those things. So Saturday, we rode out 93, 95 miles, about 7,000 or so feet. We spent the night in Borrego Springs. And then Sunday morning, we rode back to the sea. So from the desert to the sea. And I planned 2 different routes. So on the way out, we did certain climbs and certain descents, but on the way back, came back a different way, just to give a different flavor to it all. And also some of the areas that we would take this road or that road, I changed the route so that we weren't doing the same thing we almost always do if we're doing local loops, I should say. Now, we had no mechanicals except one thing that I'm going to explain here in a second. We had no flats, we had no crashes. And interestingly enough, the only 2 times that we had someone being a real ass was 2 different motorcyclists. And I thought, wow, this is really ironic because they fight for their right to be on the open roads and safely. So not being, not having cars sharing their lane, not having cars cutting them off because they didn't see them. And it was only 2 motorcyclists for, 190 plus miles of riding. I don't know, but that's what happened. One guy in an area that there are sharrows. I don't know if you have these in different parts of the country, but these are areas where there's a chevron and a bike painted on the ground, and that is for us to be able to ride on it. The cyclists can take the full lane, and there's signs posted everywhere where it says cyclists may use the full lane. So I don't know why they. Excuse me, a customer just walked in. Yes, sir. How can I help you?
I just came to pick up the brake pads. Alex.
Oh. Yes, I'm sorry. I'm shooting a video for YouTube. Can you wait just a...
Yeah, sure.
I will love to spend 100% of my time with you in just a second.
Okay.
So that, I didn't understand why they took the lane. I'm sorry, we were able to take the lane, and yet they were very, very adamant. And then another time, a guy cut us off into a right turn, and I think he nearly stalled his motorcycle, and we almost came upon him. So, but basically no mechanicals except the one thing was that Barbara rode her brand new bike on the maiden voyage on a 90-something miler out to Borrego Springs. And in fact, what happened was the through axle was loose, and so while I tried to adjust the derailleur on the road, because the through axle was loose, it would shift fine in the stand. We didn't have a stand, we're out on the road, but it would shift fine in the stand. But once she'd start pedaling and put a little torque, the back wheel would move a little bit, and so the shifting wasn't right. And then we finally found out, oh, the through axle's loose. It's just something you assume, it's tight. But anyway, I've got a customer here, so let me pay attention to that gentleman. I will create another video where I show the scenery was amazing. The weather, this is November 5th or 6th, whatever it was, in Southern California, short sleeve riding in November. I mean, you just can't beat that. So 2 solid days of riding, and I'll post some videos on our way out, on our way back, and well, that's all for now. So please like and subscribe. We'll see you up the road.